y'all. Hey, it's Tracy Time. Time for another moment with me, Tracy T. It is Friday, and we are here live at lunch. And let me say something to you. I don't know about you, but I am some kind of glad it's Friday. However, Friday is just another opportunity for you to take care of business and go into weekend having 2 more days you need to take care of business. I can tell you one of the things that we need to absolutely make sure that we take care of business on is doing our part to vote and be ready to vote and be educated to vote, and absolutely making sure we do our part to stop racism, to stop especially systemic racism, which is why my guest today is so important, and I'm so delighted that she's here with me, the one and only incomparable Black Lives Matter leg in Memphis, Karen Spencer McGee. Karen, how are you doing today? Look, she's all over. She is live. She's going live today from Rico's Kickin' Chicken, which is one of the recipients of the Discover Eat It Forward winner. They won $25,000 because people like you and me voted for them and nominated for them to win. So Karen is live at Rico's Kickin' Chicken, and we couldn't be more proud to have a person that is in the city represented by us, Black women, at a business that's owned by us, Black people. So Karen, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, and I bless God for the opportunity. Thank you so much for the invitation. We've got so much going on in the city of Memphis and the surrounding counties that we need to link up and just start doing the work.
Yes, we do. How did you get started? How did you get started with doing the work, Karen?
Well, I moved home in 2004, and with all this Lane College education and all of this, I couldn't get a job, and I ended up at a homeless shelter. Me and 5 babies.
Oh my word.
Yes, and I noticed that the sector of white churches had things going on that we as community members of faith didn't have going on. And you can stay there up to 2 years, stack cheese, get counseling. All you have to do is be in the house by 5:30. Well, I didn't have the problems that some of the other people had. And in 4 months, I was on the Parkway in an 11-bedroom house and ended up taking in some Katrina evacuees. So that's how I got started. You know how you do something and you think that you're doing it, and then God whips your behind. So I got my behind whipping early. So I've been home now for 15 years.
Okay.
Yes. So, you know, when people know you, then they're apt to support. So during the Darius Stewart murder, assassination, I saw some things that I didn't like and just wanted to get some people together to talk about it. And then it turned into a movement.
Okay.
I think my cohort is getting ready to come in now. But that was one of the things.
Yes, Pamela Moses, we see you coming on. We don't see your beautiful face, but we see your name and we see that you are muted. But you can go ahead and unmute yourself and let us see you. And you're welcome to join in this conversation. So welcome to it. Live at Lunch is Tracy Time. Come on in when you get ready. Okay, go ahead, Karen.
So during that time, we had so much energy, and people were angry, and we went into some spaces and decided that the people that were upset with the Klan coming in, which ended up being to challenge their message. You had a lot of people from Lemoyne College. You had some youth. You had some youth from University of Memphis and from Rhodes College. Mm-hmm. So we decided that we would collectively take all of that energy and turn it into a positive.
Okay, I love that. And that is how you guys got connected. And so you came together with young adults and other people in the community, Karen, and recognized that people were on the same page about being frustrated, having angst, and then wanting to make a change, and you came together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So how did you organize the structure around what is Black Lives Memphis now? How were you able to do that with the number of people you had?
I am so glad somebody's finally answering or asking that question. We had a handful of clergy, and at the time, we were coming from Arkansas because some things had happened over there, and we had a meeting at the Civil Rights Museum.
Mm-hmm.
We had a packed house, and if you don't have any training, you'll do things that don't fit the movement. And I had trusted someone with it while I go to the bathroom and get my afro right. And I looked up, and all the white people were leaving. So one of the younger activists had said, if you white, get out of here. We don't want you. And when I was coming out the bathroom, I saw a rush of white people going down the stairs, and I stopped them and asked them for their email addresses. And I told them, I said, after the emotions get gone, I'm going to contact you because I see that there's a lot of healing that needs to go on before we can even invite you all into these spaces.
Yeah.
So I didn't lose them because, they'll write a check when we won't even check our email.
Amen and ouch.
It is what it is. They'll write a check and get somebody to bring a check to help us get to the next, movement, and not even want any, recognition. So a few months later, the girl that pulled the first chapter of Black Lives Matter, she was under a $500,000 bond. She hadn't spit on nobody. She hadn't cussed nobody. She ain't threatened nobody. She just reposted some stuff on the internet. And you know how the white establishment of racism, and if you're too loud and you get too much and you tell them too much of their business, they will try anything to shut you down. So one of the pastors and I were coming across the bridge from the meeting, and my cohort, as some of the judges downtown, called and said, I need you to pray for me. So I got in touch with some elders, one of them being Miss Mother Georgia King, and she showed me what to do. I took my cohort's father and Mother King to the jailhouse, and I guess they figured, oh, we don't want no trouble with Mama Peaches. So they let us all three in at the same time, to talk to her. And I discovered that when I was at Lane College 33 years ago, her mom was actually the person that trained me in social justice. So when you ask how did I get into it, I was actually born into it. And just like anything else, you reject what you're born into because you don't want to be like your mama and your daddy. And God gave me a butt whooping and told me to move back home to Memphis. And I'm peacock proud to be able to reach people that actually want the help.
There's a lot of, especially now in the midst of Trump's rhetoric as it associates with and is regarding Black Lives Matter and how we've heard so much negativity associated with it. Here's an opportunity to set the record straight, Karen. What does the Black Lives Matter movement stand for? What is the ask?
Hey, baby. Hey, darling. We stand unapologetically Black power. That means that we take them all. We take what my mama and them used to call the yellow girl circle, and we also take Shanae and them. If it's Black, it belongs to us. So from the GLTBQIA community to the thrown away lawyers and judges who have been cast out because they wouldn't go along with a certain establishment. And I'm so glad you brought that up with the trumpets. We're in Memphis. Anytime our mayor will protect the Klan, when they come to town and they won't protect us while we're out here bringing awareness to some of the stuff that's going on, Fayette County, Hardeman County, Gibson County, Lauderdale, Obion, Chester, Madison, Gibson, and Carroll counties are the 10 counties that I cover. And the type of racism that they're experiencing with no power and no help is off the chain. So not only does this...
Tell me more about your, because you mentioned that the mayor of the city, you said for the city of Memphis. Is that right? The city of Memphis mayor?
Yes.
Okay, the city of Memphis mayor created protections that, which we know as a white supremacist group, the KKK. So tell me more about that.
When the Klan was coming here to clown, they had a bunch of hot-headed children that wanted to go and confront them. So we got together, and at that time we were meeting at First Congo Church because it was one of the churches that would let us do social justice there. And we turned it around. We've got the indigenous people, we got white people, we got Hispanic, we got poor white people, which there is a difference. And we went to the fairgrounds and we all came together and we couldn't get no protection. But the Klan was downtown and your tax dollars paid for a fence to put around them to protect them. But when we're in the streets, whether it be South Memphis, where they shot Martavius Banks in the back, and we can't get no protection when we're marching and bringing awareness, but you're gonna protect them. So those are the type of things that this chapter of Black Lives Matter, we're fighting the establishment of racism.
Okay. All right. And so now you mentioned one of the words I want to ask more about, because there's a lot of hot debates between protests, right? Peaceful protest, marching, and rioting. Tell me what you see as the difference.
See, there's another excellent question. I'm not gonna get nobody's permission to hit the street and say Black Power. That's a protest. I'm not waving nothing and throwing out candy about you killing Black and brown people in the streets of Memphis. That's a parade. I'm not breaking in to Black people's establishments and stealing stuff. That's a riot. What I'm doing is bringing up awareness of the establishment. If you got a judge downtown and she Black, but she helping Amy Riot, she got to go. I don't care. All skin folks ain't kin folks. I am unapologetically Black Power. So if you're going along to get along, this chapter ain't for you. I'm straight jacking. I'm not a violent person, but if you come at me, I got some folks for you.
And what are you jacking for, Karen? You straight jacking, but what are you? Tell me, what are you jacking for? Because there's some people who are in Memphis who want to say, "Okay, I want to jack with you." What are you jacking for?
We jacking for justice. We jacking for justice.
Come on, turn your camera on so people can see you.
We jacking for justice. I'm driving, so I can't do that, but I'm
okay,
on
all right.
But we're jacking for justice. That's what we jacking for. Don't get it twisted. We non-violent, but we do believe in self-defense also.
Very good. So Pamela Moses is with us. She and Karen and I had a conversation earlier, Pamela, about you being her cohort. and that there was a judge that labeled you two cohorts. And so that's what she's been referring to you as a cohort, that you were going to join us. And so she wanted to have another person as a credible witness and participant to this conversation. So I appreciate you being with us today. And
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would like to extend an invitation to those that are viewing us right now live to go ahead and put your questions in. This is an opportunity, and that's why we have Live at Lunch, so that we can educate people and expand awareness for people to understand exactly what's happening firsthand. I believe in going to the horse's mouth, right? If you want to know what's happening with Black Lives Matter Memphis, who better to ask than someone or someones that are connected and directly impacting and directing us from Black Lives Matter Memphis. So here's where we are today. I want to get them to answer the questions that we have, that I've heard, and to dispel some of the myths and be a myth buster today, okay? Because we already know, just based on us seeing the debate earlier this week, that Black women especially, we have a line that we have to toe, a thread, a needle that has to be thread that's different than other people in America, specifically our white counterparts that are female. What happens with Black Lives Matter Memphis with regard to systemic racism, with regard to the equality, because it's all connected? What is your position on that?
Position is that until we dismantle the systems that have us enslaved, we can never get free. And we do that by attacking the systems that need to be attacked. The judicial, which you mentioned, I didn't know the cohort. I was trying to figure out what that was, but she's being honest with you, and I want to be honest because I've been listening to Jaguar Wright. She's one of my favorite singers, and I just really think that it was good how she called out people's names, because a lot of times we want to hold people accountable, but we like, well, who do we hold accountable? Well, Judge Lois Lambert, she was one of those judges that look like you, look like me, that's supposed to be there for us, and she decided to attack us. Now, I don't know what the reason for it, but the fact that she got into that position to be a judge and abused her power, that is just as racist as a white person doing it when we entrust Black leaders to go and represent us, and they go and turn their backs on us. And so until we get these, I think Mama Peaches calls them kinfolk out of office, until we get them and all the rest of the people that seek to keep us oppressed out of positions of power, we're going to continue to be enslaved. So this chapter is working on defunding the police. Yeah. We know we need public safety, but we don't need the police to get $285 million every year from our tax dollars, and only $5 million go into community development. We need for you to shift some of that funding where it needs to be, where the people need housing, where people aren't stealing. We have a young lady that just got killed on October the 3rd in Jonesboro, Arkansas by the police. They didn't shoot her. They didn't put their neck on her like they did George Floyd. They took their car and rammed her in the ditch because she was stealing paper towels. Until we fix the systemic reasons that keep people in poverty, which is the number one crime in Memphis, Tennessee, until we remove those people and replace them with people who truly understand what this city needs, we will never get free. And so we working on freedom, and that comes through Black liberation. Spending your money with Black folks, spending your time with Black folks, building community with Black folks, and folks who understand what we are out here fighting for. We're not out here fighting for anarchy. We out here fighting for freedom.
All right. So now let me ask you this. Let's touch on two things. I know that you mentioned the judge, and so in fairness to the judge, I don't remember the name you called before the judge who was mentioned. The platform, if you'd like to come back and share your thoughts and ideas and your perspective on what happened, I'd love to have you. And then for the people who are engaged in understanding what's happening in terms of having the systemic racism occur and also having the responsibility to be engaged with Black people and for Black people. How does someone that is in align with you in philosophy and strategy get connected with Black Lives Memphis? Black Lives Matter Memphis. How do we connect with Black Lives Matter Memphis?
We have for the past 6 years, I think, a working website. That's www.blacklivesmattermemphis.org. And if you go on that website, it will show you how to get connected with our committees that we're building daily, how to get connected with community development. If you have a complaint, a lot of our complaints come from outside of Memphis because people go to the website and fill out the form. And if you fill out the form and you have a complaint against a particular entity, a corporation or a government, you can fill that out and we'll get back with you to try to at least guide you. And if we can't guide you, we can try to refer you to an attorney. We've recently partnered, with the Crump firm to try to, give them clients and get the clients that need help to them, because it's illegal for attorneys to go to the client, but it's not illegal for the people to come to Black Lives Matter and us to then send the people to someone. So,
Right.
if you got a complaint and someone did you wrong, discrimination, we're not the EEOC or anything like that, but if it sounds like something that deals with a civil rights violation, a human rights violation, education discrimination, contact us and we'll show you and we'll help you. We'll advocate for you. We have the right. I got put in jail for doing what I'm doing now, and it's just called advocacy. People need help. And if you don't have lawyers that can help people, if you don't have prosecutors that are trustworthy, you need someone like us. We the oversight committee for the police.
Okay. And so now there are different, within the chapter for Memphis, there are different areas that have focus. Is that Pamela? Did I lose you, Pamela?
No,
Oh,
I'm
you were.
still here.
Okay. There are different, within the chapter for Memphis, there are different areas of focus that are different subcommittees or work streams. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. We have our Gasper Yanga Maroon Committee, which focuses on community development. We have our Stokely Carmichael Committee, which focuses on self-defense and organizing and mobilizing. Mama Peaches chairs our Butterfly Healing Committee, which focuses on, the community's trauma and dealing with that, such as domestic violence and awareness. And all of our committees, it's about 11 of them, are Abraham Joshua Heschel Committee, which is chaired usually by a person not of color to kind of help allies build capacity with us, to support us. We have a lot of allies and businesses that, they can't protest, but they can offer their spaces, their services, their products, their goods to try to help us bring awareness to the things that we're trying to do to bring the country forward. Because Memphis
Okay.
is going to lead the whole country.
Okay, wonderful. And so for participants, for people who join, they want to become active, they can select a committee to participate on. I'm thinking in terms of recruitment and an opportunity for people to understand better what the committees are, so that they can have a very well-versed understanding of how they want to get engaged. Because a lot of times people put their time and energy in what they're passionate about, right? And so you know that if they want to get with Mama Peaches and talk about domestic violence or domestic resolve or support domestic issues, that would be the area and committee for them to work with. Does the website give information about each of the 11 committees that are available, or they get information once they join and align themselves, and then they decide where they want to serve?
Yeah, what we usually do is we begin with the orientation, which basically focuses on what the committee does as a whole. And then after the orientation, we do a training in which people can learn, where services are, what you do in this situation, how you should understand the processes of certain things. And then they get together and they form strategies and goals and objectives to try to meet the needs of that focus of that committee.
Okay, I see. That's good. So they do a regular funnel that comes in, and then people are better able to hone in. Now, you mentioned something that was really important, and especially since Mama Peaches mentioned this earlier, I want to address it. In the beginning, people that were not Black were told to get out, that they were not included in Black Lives Matter.
I was in jail when that happened, so I wasn't there when that happened. That was what was reported back, and that was done by Erica Perry. She's not even from Memphis. She was from Knoxville, Tennessee. She's a law student. I think she's a lawyer now, and she, a very ambitious young lady. And you gotta understand, because Erica's younger than I and Mama Peaches, so our younger youth they're way more witted than we are. And so in hindsight, she probably did that thinking that was the right thing to do, but I was watching a protest of the George Floyd thing just a day or two ago, and there were two 16-year-olds, beautiful Black girls. They're a member of the Black Lives Matter chapter up there, and I was watching them because I'd seen them before, and they were speaking so eloquently, so matter of fact, and it was just like, did them kids just say that? And it's like, when she did that, in hindsight, it was probably the wrong thing to do, but it might have just been how she felt. And you can't apologize for how you feel when it comes to white supremacy, when it comes to white terror, when it comes to white privilege. Like, I have gotten to the point personally where I'm not apologizing for anything that I say or do to offend white people. But at the same time, any of those white people that got up and decided to leave, they didn't need to be there anyway. I don't want a white ally that's going to quiver because they got told to leave the room. I want a white ally that's going to say, why do I need to leave? I know you want them to leave, but why do I need to leave if I'm here for you, So I wasn't there, but like, that is true. It's a fact. And I gave you my synopsis of what happened. Was it wrong? Maybe, but depend on whose eyes you're looking at.
All right. What's the current status and policy for Black Lives Matter Memphis with regard to non-people of color being in membership?
I can hear you. It's like a lot of noise.
Yeah, Rico's chicken is the background noise that we hear because Mama Peaches is live and she's doing her live remote there, so that's why you hear background noise.
Well, what was your question? I didn't hear.
My question again is with regard to non-people of color, for non-Black people, what is the current status for Black Lives Matter Memphis in terms of membership? Is everyone welcome? Is it restricted to only people that are Black? Do we take in allies from every race, creed, and color? What is the current status?
Our organization's executive committee is made up of all people of color. Our subcommittees and our volunteer, intern, any other aspect of our organization is open to anyone, any race, creed. We fight for human rights, so we can't discriminate. I'm just giving you a background of how our organization got started and why there's some confusion as to like which chapter is which, and we are the chapter that started in Memphis, Tennessee, the whole state of Tennessee. Actually, we hold the charter for the whole state, and the people who are also a part of the movement, because there is a movement. There's a movement, and there's a network, and then there are chapters. And so there are people who consider themselves a part of the movement. They don't consider themselves a part of our organization. That is their choice. They chose that. But this organization is an official chapter. We are part of the movement, and we are part of several networks and coalitions that fight for human rights for all Black people.
Mm-hmm. And how does the Memphis chapter connect with the overarching Black Lives Matter movement and chapter?
How do we connect?
Yes. So it's each of the chapters, they report up Okay, let me give you an example. And I'm not affiliated with the Greek organization, but the Greek organization structure is what I'm thinking of. That their chapters in specific schools and cities report up to the national chapter for sororities and fraternities, right? Is that how the Black Lives Matter organization is structured also?
We don't report to a national organization. We are a part of the movement for Black Lives, and we don't report to anyone other than the executive core members of our organization, which we formed prior to any establishment of any network. The national network in which you reference, it was formed after this chapter was created. So we were here first. And we used to be connected with them. We still talk to them. And if you talk to any chapter, if you talk to any other chapters, they have the same issues. You understand what I'm saying? You have some chapters who are connected with the movement for Black Lives, and then you have others who are connected with the Black Lives Matter movement. We are connected with the movement for Black Lives.
Okay, all right. And so go back, because it's a phenomenal history lesson that we know Memphians have created history for decades and centuries even, especially Black people. You said something that I think was key there, that that this organization here was established first. Tell me more about that.
We were established informally around 2014, and all of the chapters in which there were about 11 or 12 that I think were in existence like us, and when we all first connected and stuff. But those original chapters, we all met online, and we all met during the Trayvon Martin case when Trayvon got murdered in Florida. I think it was me and some other people from like maybe Florida, St. Louis. We started calling the prosecutor's office in Florida demanding that George Zimmerman be charged. And from that is how we all connected. And there was a hashtag that began Black Lives Matter right during that time, and it just became something that we all, it was like our little movement thing, what we did to connect. And then eventually it evolved into, we need to make this like a organization, and everybody started making one in their city, and I think the first one probably would have been in LA maybe, and then New York, and then we did one here in Memphis. And then it just, people like me who understand business and understand foundations and charitable work, because I was already doing human rights work before Black Lives Matter. We then formed and incorporated within our states and within our counties. We became an organization, and that's what we are today. We have grown. We are still a group that protests and stuff, but we have grown into an organization that is now in a stage of advocacy and building relationships to now build our communities, and our communities are connected. They're not just like Memphis is connected to Nashville. Nashville is connected to Knoxville, and we're just basically organizing and mobilizing through other social justice networks to bring about change in the South.
Okay. And so what is, if you could say in one easy, digestible way to understand the movement, so that people could say, now, what is it that you do? What would be the response?
What is it that we do, or what is it that I do?
What is it that Black Lives Matter Memphis does? What is it?
We promote and fight for change.
That's good. Promoting and fighting for change for Memphians and for all people who are being disparaged or marginalized or face inequity. Because you mentioned that there are complaints that you can post online, that if they've suffered some injustice, you can serve as a bridge. I'm saying you, as in you represent Black Lives Matter Memphis, represent a bridge where you can make the connection for other people. Is that right?
Yeah, I just tell you like this, what my mother and other elders have said. She was like, that Black Lives Matter, y'all are the ones we left behind that didn't get trained. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She says that the NAACP left us behind and didn't train us. So we're
Interesting.
basically like a oversight committee for, injustices. That's what we do. Like, that's what I do every day. Like, my phone rings so much about someone who has an injustice, and a lot of the stuff, it becomes irritating because it should be stuff that it should be black lawyers, white ones too, running to try to correct this, or just send a letter, make a phone call. Like, but we have such a broken system where certain black people have been elevated to such a level that they don't care nothing about anybody other than the people who are in their network, while the majority of the people continue to have these problems. You got people who are homeless that can work. Well, why can't they get to work? Or we don't have adequate transportation. Our government wants to keep investing in buses. Nobody wants to put a light rail in all of the unused rail lines that are downtown by the U of M. We don't create the structural changes that are necessary to bring people forward. So what we do is we point our fingers at them. We might have a few pointing back at us from, drug use and jail and things like that, but we have been systematically disenfranchised through a broken system. You have people who go back and forth to jail just because they can't get the bare necessities to stay out of jail. But you continue to fund a system which imprisons them. And then we have elected officials, Lamar Alexander, Steve Cohen, different people who own stock in private prisons, while their friends that they eat with, the judges and the prosecutors, work overnight to keep the jails filled with people that look like me and you. So what we do is we bring awareness to those issues, and we fight to make sure that that we know what's really going on, and hopefully you'll stop, or hopefully you'll do something different. Hopefully you'll let us organize ourselves and promote the type of change that we want, rather than hiring white folks to come into our communities and gentrify them.
And how does voting factor into all of this?
Well, it factors into all of this because, just like myself, someone who is a quote unquote super voter, never missed an election in my life, I had my right to vote stripped away from me. Not by Donald Trump, but by Amy Wiry and Phyllis Gardner and all the other people who wanted to keep me out of the political process because they know that I'm more effective in a political landscape. I got my degree not in Black Lives Matter. I got my degree in political science. I got my master's in intercultural studies. I'm qualified to hold any office in this city, contrary to popular belief, contrary to my eccentric behavior as a musician. I understand people, and that's the first thing that makes someone qualified to be elected. You must understand your constituents. Well, if the people who have been elected don't have anything to do with their constituents, they not only don't understand them, they can't serve them properly. That's not only an injustice, that's malfeasance. And that's what we have a lot of. We have a lot of malfeasance because people have been systematically over the past 30 years excluded from the electoral process because they're convicted felons. I know because when I campaigned for a white woman named Mary, what was her name? Mary, dang, that's sad. I don't even remember her name. But Mary, she ran, I just know her as Miss Mary. She ran for city council. I decided to campaign for her because I liked what she was saying about what she wanted to do with our community. She understood because she was a white woman that had worked at the Boys and Girls Club or Girls Inc. So she understood the plight of the black girl, the black woman. So she understood what we needed in our community. So I decided to campaign for her. And as I would knock on several doors, many of the people who wanted to vote, they were older than me, who had been in prison years ago or had had involvement in law enforcement where they got a felony could not vote, and it had been 20 years and they still can't vote. Right here in Memphis, Tennessee, there are hundreds of thousands of people who do not have the right to vote. Not because of, like me, somebody politically made it that way. They just can't vote because they made a mistake, or they were improperly or overcharged years ago. And so they're now excluded from the process. Well, if I can exclude all of the people that wouldn't vote for me, then that means I'm a win. I'm a guarantee a win. And that's what you have going on here in Memphis. We have a election administrator who bid rigged the machines recently to ensure that the white Republicans or whoever it is, the black sellouts, to make sure that they get in there. Well, how do we stop that if this is a real democracy? We can't, because most of the people who would vote, like me, they can't vote. So what do? We must encourage the people who are related to us that know what's going on. We have to encourage them to go out and vote for me. Always, even if they never give me my right to vote back, I'm always take 20 folks to the poll, just so I know that I did my civic duty. A lot of black people don't know what civic duty is. Just like I told that judge, I ain't nobody saying I ain't never voted, I didn't vote, I wasn't supposed to vote. I did my civic duty. That's what I was taught to do. Because, see, I took civics. I understand representation. A lot of people don't. But it is imperative that black people who can vote, vote.
So what do you say to the black people who can vote, who are not engaged, or feel that, as you mentioned, the electoral college is set up and it's rigged, or with gerrymandering, or the Russian inclusion and collusion that's happening, that I may as well not vote because my vote won't matter anyway? What's your response to them?
I say to every black person in Memphis that feels that way, get you an absentee ballot, take a picture of it, and send it to Black Lives Matter Memphis. We collect data too. And let's do the numbers at the end. I know how to compare it. I was a poll watcher. Go get a ballot or whatever. If you go in there, take a picture. They say you can't take pictures. Justin Timberlake did. I didn't hear a federal case being made out of it when he took a picture in the voting booth to show that he voted. Take a picture of your ballot. And if you feel comfortable enough, send it to us and let me do the numbers. If those numbers from that precinct don't match the numbers that we have, if they're off, it's easy to when it comes to math, it's easy to see if it's right or wrong. But see, what we do is we don't participate. But then we sit back and complain about, well, my vote don't count anyway. It sure the hell don't count. You didn't vote.
So what do you say then to the people who are not participating? We have a good number of people who are truly eligible to vote right now, right? That are saying, I'm not participating. What do we say? What do you say to them? I want to hear from each of you about what do you say to eligible black voters, particularly young black voters who are saying, I'm not engaged, I'm not doing it. What do you say?
I say shame on you. Shame on you. But you can't blame them, because you got Cardi B talking about wet ass pussy, but then at the same time she's watching the election. It's like there's no role models for the children, to inspire them or to encourage them. The reason people went out and voted in the past because there was a narrative, there was a need. Muhammad Ali, people would come out and say stuff to motivate people, but there's no motivation right now in this country. It's just a bunch of hatred and division. Until we get on one accord and decide, I'm going to do this because this is the right thing to do. I care about my future. I care about this country, this low down ass country called America. I care about this country. I don't want this country to become a part of a civil war. I don't want to be fighting for my right to live. For all those people that say that, I say, sit your ass at home on November the 3rd or before and don't vote. And when all hell breaks loose and the North meets the South, you'll wish that you had voted.
Okay. Karen, what's your take? Is Karen frozen?
She's there.
Oh no, so she just fell off accidentally. I think her call dropped. So now you said that there's no motivation, no role model. So what would you say if you could offer a word of encouragement, Pam? What would you say to encourage someone that is in the 18 to 25 demographic? What would you say to encourage them to vote?
I would say get off your Fortnite, get off your Call of Duty, and you need to get. It's too late probably to register, but if you are registered, do it for democracy. Like, if you don't know what democracy is the will of the people. We are the majority in Memphis, Tennessee. We as in Black people. We should hold every office except for the minority offices in this city, and we don't. We got a low down racist DA that's gonna lock you up. If you 18 to 20 something, keep doing what you're doing. If you don't vote, she gonna lock you up. Then she gonna take your right to vote away. Then you won't be able to get a job. You won't be able to get a firearm. You won't be able to get housing because they getting ready to make it now. If you got criminal records, you ain't even gonna be able to rent nowhere. That's coming next. If you don't own property by 2025, you ain't gonna have nowhere to live. So vote for your future. My life is probably half over. You got a life and children coming after you. Vote for your future. That's what I would say to them.
All right. Ms. Karen, what would you say to them?
I would echo my cohorts, things or feelings. My people hail from Hardeman and Fayette counties. My grandfather and my mother and my grandmother was a part of Tent City when they got thrown off of the land because they were trying to vote. Winter then was different from winter now. It was cold. So if you don't care nothing about yourself and the blood shed and the lives that were lost for you to have the opportunity and the right to vote, what I do is I take at least 20 to the polls. If they come into this chapter, we're going to show you how to get your voting rights restored. We want you to understand that they miseducated you for a reason. The miseducation of the Negro, that was in 1933. And then someone else redid the book. So even as it relates to this Black Lives Matter Memphis chapter, they threw out A. Philip Randolph and James Baldwin and all the peculiar people. Yes, they did. And now they've got memes all over Facebook celebrating him. Well, we want to celebrate you now. We don't want to celebrate you when you are dead and gone. So even as we speak, I was at Rico's Chicken, and now I'm with, say hello. Hi. I'm at the bazaar because it got loud in there. And this is a strip when we're talking about gentrification. This is a strip that still got Black folks in the medical district, and we want to lift them up. So if you can't vote, encourage people to vote. Take your people to the polls. Explain to the young people why it's important, because it's systematic. Did you think that them folks were gonna let poor white, yellow, gold, tan, and brown people get together and teach each other? That's why the resistance is so high, because we're finally getting it now. We're getting it, that they don't want us to come together. You got a whole mayor down there that's saying, just like Trump, we're going to build up. We're not going to build out. Well, what about South Memphis? What about New Chicago? What about North Memphis? What about Orange Mound? So vote for change, especially for the people that are coming behind you. Your children's children future depends on what you do in this season.
Mm-hmm. Final remarks. This has been fantastic. I want you to say again how to connect with Black Lives Matter Memphis, and then give me what your final remarks would be if the answer is the repeat and complete. For the election season in 2021, I want to see because we know, let me qualify it. Let me say this. We know that you guys touched upon a couple different things. Here's what I can tell you I know, especially with regard to elections, that the DA is a position that will come up for re-election soon, that the state position that will come up for re-election. So every year we have elections, and not just this presidential election, right? And so what I want for my repeat and complete from you is, for the next elections, I want to see.
For the next election, I want to see more people that people trust, like the clergymen. I want to see people that are around here pretending that they love what Martin stood for. I want to see them take a stand and not back down because they get a quarter or a new car or a building up out of it. I want to see them go harder now than they've ever gone before.
Pamela, you in a position to complete with us? I know she was driving, so I want to make sure that she maintains her safety first. She's got her camera, she's connected with us.
Here now.
Oh, look at there. Okay, I see.
See, we do pull-ups.
I see. Come on,
We do drive-bys.
Okay, I see. Come on, Pamela. Repeat and complete.
Repeat and complete. I just think that everybody needs to go out and vote your heart, vote your conscience. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for because we're nonpartisan over here. But it's important that you vote. A lot of people don't know when you vote or when you're registered to vote. The police pull you over, they know that. Just like if you got a firearm, they know that. So when they see that you're registered to vote, they deal with you differently, and Black people just need to get up and do that. And I hope that we get it together because I haven't left the political arena. I'm just in right now. I got a chancellor that's going to decide it's unconstitutional for the state of Tennessee to take people's citizenship away. They've been doing it since 1864, and Black Lives Matter Memphis is the first ones to challenge them to it. So, we need support from everyone. It's time for unity in this country, in this city. And I hope that people will get out and vote. And regardless of what the outcome of the election is, Black people need to be on one accord. Because it's gonna be.
I can't tell you. I agree 100%.
And we don't need to be paid.
Right. I agree. So let me make sure I got this. You want to have people who are like-minded, not necessarily Black. It's open to every person who wants to join the crusade and fight against the injustices and inequalities and absolutely social racism and systemic racism that's happening, with the injustices that are happening from the legislature all the way down to people being bullied. You want to get people engaged, and absolutely know that it's important for them to understand what happens from the judicial standpoint, but what feeds into the judicial standpoint is what happens with legislature, which is connected to votes. So we know that voting locally impacts what happens in the state and then what happens nationally. Say again what the website is for Black.
Okay, before I say that, just real quick, because we didn't list, we have a mission. And because like a lot of the people in other networks follow guiding principles, but we have a mission, and our mission says
In the spirit of the civil rights movement, the Black Lives Matter Memphis principal objective is to progress and ensure the protection of Black lives regardless of gender, disability, levels of education, socioeconomic status, political belief, and sexual orientations. Our organization promotes Black unity to achieve equality amongst our citizens. Black Lives Matter to eliminate systematic oppression through awareness, education, and demand a betterment for the change of all Black lives. That's the best way I can say what we do. When we created this before we created the organization, so we would know what our mission and our vision is, and we look forward to working with anyone who has the same aligned belief.
Fantastic. That
Thank you.
Perfect way to summarize it. And now tell us the website so people can get connected.
www.blacklivesmattermemphis.org, and we're on Facebook. Look for the woman with the yellow fist, and Twitter BLM Memphis. We're also on Instagram, Black Lives Matter Memphis spelled out.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this. You two continue doing what you're doing. And I want you to know that I am grateful for the time that you've taken with us today for Live at Lunch. This has been a wealth of information, and we did double the time, y'all. So we usually do 30 minutes, and we got in almost 60 minutes of time with you today for Black Lives Matter Memphis, because it's so important, and it's such an incredibly important cause. And for anyone who's connected to anybody that's got a drop of Black in them, you need to understand what the movement is and what the mission is. And the mission was just read, but I'm going to share the website, and I'll put the mission on this so that they'll have it as a follow-up. Thank you both so much for connecting with me today. Stay with me as I do my close, and I'm gonna hang. I got some questions for you. I want to get some more information from you. So that's it. That's all, y'all. It's been oh my gosh, a phenomenal Friday here live at lunch with Tracy Time. We have had 2 representatives from Black Lives Matter Memphis. Just give it to you straight. If you needed facts, you got it today. If you wanted information, you got it today. If you need more information, you know where to go get it today. So I'm going to put that on there and share it. So make sure that you get involved. You don't need to be Black to support Black Lives Matter Memphis, and you absolutely need to be on the right side of history. So you want to get connected. Now, here's what I want you to do. Know that you matter to me. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm giving you a cyber hug with lots of love to carry you over till Monday. And if you don't do anything else, you know what I'm going to say. Make today, and yes, make every day amazing. And absolutely above all else, live like it's a gift, because it truly is. I'll see you back here live at lunch on Monday. Blessings abundant. Be safe, and get ready to vote. Make a voting plan. I'll see you Monday.